Last time, we saw the arrival of two new villains. Not only is Boo's arrival on the horizon, but Cell has appeared too, and they've met each other. What's going to happen from here on out? We'll be covering that and more in the 6th part of What If Tien Was the Strongest. Deborah and Cell each take on a battle stance, and their fight begins. The Kais come over to the group, revealing who they are, and they're trying to explain what's happening here. They know about Deborah, but not about Cell. This is pretty worrisome. Not only is Majin Buu here, but so is this random new villain. Plus, this isn't the regular Cell that we're used to. Like, yeah, he's perfect, but he also has more data and different DNA, particularly Tien's part of him too. And we've seen how Tien changed the scenario. Jiro has spent extra time developing him. So, regardless of what you think of how Deborah versus Cell would go, this version of Cell is actually stronger than Deborah. Not by a significant margin, but enough that he could actually win here. It's just that he has to use his full power. The two have a pretty intense battle, and it gets so intense that every spectator in the arena has to leave, except for a few of them. Anyone who's friends with the Z-Fighters is still there, and there's also an old man in the crowd trying to hide to make sure that he's not seen. But Bulma's still there in the crowd, and she kind of recognizes him. He looks like that Dr. Gero that she heard about a while ago, although looking a lot more weird and decrepit. And he seems pretty happy. He didn't expect Cell to find a challenge like this, but this is a good test run for him. And eventually, Cell ends up winning the battle, defeating Deborah pretty easily. Shin and Kibito are concerned, and now that the group is caught up to speed, they realize Babidi probably did get some energy from this, and now they don't know where to go to find his ship, so that's another problem too. But this should be a good thing. Now with Deborah gone, there's no way Babidi's getting any energy. He has to actually come here if he wants to. So this might be a good thing. And that's exactly what Babidi's thinking too. He starts to panic. Cell is getting ready to fight the others, while Babidi's trying to think of a plan B. He did get some energy from the fight between Deborah and Cell, but only about 30 or 40% of what he actually needed to revive Buu, which is still a good amount, but how is he going to get the rest? He still has Pui Pui and Yakon, but there's no way he's going to be able to stab anyone with the energy collection device, nor does he have anyone strong enough to collect energy by just fighting normally. Although, he could try one more thing. He did consider trying to take over somebody else. When he looks around the tournament, there are some people who are not necessarily pure-hearted. Tien, for example, actually is pure-hearted by now. In order to become a kami, all that evil in his heart needed to be purged, so he's overcome that, unfortunately for Babidi. There is Vegeta too, who he might actually be able to take over, but that's going to be kind of a long shot. But there's the obvious option. Why not take over Cell? He's clearly very evil, and with that much evil, he should be pretty easy to manipulate. So without a second thought, Babidi goes for it. At first he thought Cell was going to derail his plans, but if anything, it's just going to make his plans even better. Cell stands in the middle of the arena, and then beckons to Goku. He'll fight him next. Tien says he doesn't like this, it's really sketchy, and he asks the Kais, could this help Majin Buu? Shin says he's not quite sure. The fact that Deborah fought him means that he's probably not allies with Babidi. So there's no way Cell could be contributing energy to him. At least, as he is now. Goku steps into the ring, ready to fight. He's not going to turn it down. But as he gets ready to battle, something weird then happens to Cell. His ki flares up, and it looks like he struggles for a bit, but not really for long. Only a few seconds. Then there's a bigger surge of ki. His power increases further, and Shin and Kibito look mortified. Nothing physically changes about Cell. His aura changes a bit, and there's an M on his forehead now. Shin tells them all they need to stand down. They can't fight him anymore. He's been possessed by Babidi. Jiro then reveals himself in the stands, wondering what's going on with Cell. With all the evil in Cell right now, Babidi's able to control him completely. He doesn't have any autonomy like Majin Vegeta did, for example. And Jiro yells out at Cell, telling him to stop this. Just kill them while he has the chance. Cell then quickly turns around, lifts a finger up, and launches a death beam at Dr. Gero, killing him instantly. The rest of the group still has no idea who Dr. Gero is, and they don't really have a clue about who Cell is either. But Cell explains himself, telling them what he is, and explaining now that he's far stronger than before thanks to Babidi, so he's more than willing to fight under Babidi's command now. Of course, Goku and Vegeta don't really want to stand down here. Even Tien's kind of thinking that too, but at the same time as Earth's guardian, he can't let his pride as a fighter get ahead of him. It might actually be better to retreat, especially if the Kais are doing so. They are technically his superiors. But Vegeta says they don't need to leave just yet. They could at least try fighting him for a bit. And it's not like Cell waits around for him to make a move. He attacks first, starting a fight with Goku, and Vegeta joins in too, trying to have some fun for himself. Shin tells him they need to stop immediately, but then Cell lifts up another finger and points it at him, launching a death beam. Tien's able to jump in front of it quickly, blocking it with his full power. The big issue here is, Goku and Vegeta think they actually have a chance, which they do. With their combined power, they can defeat Cell as is right now, but it's not going to be easy, and because of that, they're going to risk giving energy to Babidi, which is exactly what he wants. And because he's not particularly strong right now, there's no reason for them to stand down. They think they should just finish this battle, and Cell decides to make it a bit more fun too, spawning some Cell Juniors. Now, they don't really have a choice but to fight. Although the fight is very short-lived. At some point, Cell doesn't end up getting enough energy from fighting them. It's too late, and Babidi tells him to stand down, coming back to the ship. And because Cell's completely under his control, he follows those commands. Goku and Vegeta are about to chase him, but Kibito says it's not worth it. They need to go now. So reluctantly they agree, and then they teleport to the sacred world of Kai. They need to figure out what to do next, and this is probably the safest place to plan. Tien regrets not getting involved either. He knows it would have given energy to Babidi, but he probably could have killed Cell with a full power attack alone, like go into evolve Kaioken and use a Kikoho. He has no doubt that he could have beat Cell alone, but Shin says it would have been too risky. Either way, Buu would have been revived. Babidi backed them into a corner. The amount of power they would have needed to use to actually defeat Cell would have revived him regardless. So now they need to think of what to do next. They don't get to see Buu in person, so they don't know how truly strong he is. And Shin's trying to think of any way they could possibly defeat him. Maybe someone here could train with the Z-Sword. They do have some pretty strong fighters: Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and Tien. If anyone would be able to pull a Z-Sword, it's probably Tien. Gohan's then the strongest behind him, with Goku and Vegeta being pretty much even and right behind Gohan. Goku does have a better idea though. At least a backup in case that Z-Sword thing doesn't work. And Vegeta says he can't seriously be thinking about that, but Goku says it would be a really fun idea. The guys wonder what he's talking about, and Goku says he was thinking about fusion. After he died from the heart virus, during those few weeks he was dead, he learned some pretty cool things in Otherworld, and he had revisited from time to time. King Kai did let him go back. There, he learned Metamorph and Fusion. And Tien had actually learned this too. Goku told Tien about it, and he decided to go to Otherworld himself to learn it. Goku had even practiced it with Gohan before, and Vegeta, although Vegeta isn't really too fond of it. He knows the dance, but he never actually did fuse with Goku. But Goku tells him it would be really cool. Imagine how strong two Saiyans merging would be. Or even better, him and Tien. Actually, there was something Tien was thinking of, but he never really tried it before. He had merged with Goku over the time skip, just to practice it. But come on, this is an April Fool's scenario. I thought of something a little better here. He had a theory that if he were to use his multiform and fuse, he wonders if that can make him even stronger. And if that doesn't work, sure, he'll just fuse with someone else here. But imagine it. His multiform cuts his power into quarters, but the multiplier of fusion is vastly greater than that, and especially if he's merging 4 people at once instead of 2. That is a thing with fusion, you can merge more than 2 people. So he wondered if he can combine the multiform with fusion somehow. He never tried that, but maybe it'll be worth a shot here. Shin's not too sure because that might be risky, and Tien says there's no risk. He'll just go into his multiform and then fuse, and if it doesn't work, he could instantly just go back to his normal form. Goku has already decided he's fusing with Vegeta. He wants to try that out. And Tien will fuse with Gohan as a backup. The Kai still think they should try the Z-Sword, so they do that in the meantime. Back on Earth, Majin Buu is revived. And Babidi makes a pretty big mistake here. He's not focused on Cell anymore. Cell is still under his control, but Cell has a brief moment of lucidity. You know, he's grateful for the power he has, but he's not really grateful for Babidi controlling him. So, while Babidi's more focused on Buu, Cell then death beams Babidi. Cell retains the power of the Majin boost, but also, he has his free will back. He's gonna fight Buu now. Buu doesn't necessarily seem ready to fight. He's not taking things seriously, so Cell starts the battle, and Buu gets pretty angry pretty quick and fights back. At some point, Cell realizes that Buu is far more powerful than him, and even with the Majin boost, he doesn't really stand a chance. But he does have another idea. Even if he can't necessarily win like this, he might be able to get the upper hand another way. Amidst the fight, he stabs Buu with his tail. It's a good thing Jiro kept this. Even though he's perfect, he still can absorb other people if he wants to. He just didn't expect to have to use it. He absorbs a bunch of power from Buu, and Buu is able to free himself from it at first, but Cell already powered up a good amount, and he gets some of Buu's abilities from this. They're still not on even footing right now, but this does close the gap a bit. Slowly but surely, Cell starts to do this more and more, taking more power from Buu, and at some point they're completely matched. And this is when Cell fully strikes. He absorbs Buu completely. He probably should have absorbed Babidi instead of killing him. That magic could have been useful. But now, he has all that magic from Buu, plus all of his power and his other weird abilities. Cell then powers up to his maximum, and he feels a huge surge of strength. It's incredible to think he could have gotten this strong. The best part is, no one on the Sacred World of Kais is even aware of this. Cell already knows where they ran off to. Thanks to absorbing Buu, he did by extension absorb the South Supreme Kai and the Grand Supreme Kai, so now he knows about Shin and Kibito, and he assumes where they went off to. And thanks to having those 2 Kai as part of him, he thinks that he might even be able to teleport there now. There's only one way to find that out. And without hesitation, he teleports to the Sacred World of Kai, ready for another battle. The group is there trying to pull the Z-Sword. Right now, Tien's attempting, so it looks like they just need to get ready for battle. It's a good thing he wasn't going around destroying Earth or anything, but still, this is definitely not ideal. They're not really prepared to fight him, but the Kais tell them to go with the other plan, so Tien stops trying to pull the Z-Sword, and Gohan then motions to everyone to fall back. Cell isn't exactly sure of what they're planning. He did get a lot of extra data over the time skip, but he didn't learn about fusion from them because he never saw them do it, and by the time they even were trying that, Jiro stopped collecting that data. Plus, they did learn it in Otherworld and didn't necessarily use it on the surface. So he's not sure what they're going to try, but whatever. He fights Gohan for now. Wondering why Gohan's buying time, but with Cell being Cell, he'd probably be interested in seeing them power up in any way they can. Goku then tells Vegeta it's now or never. Reluctantly, he decides to do the fusion dance. And thankfully, since he already did learn it before, even without practicing it, he pulls it off first try. As for Tien, he splits himself into 4. Then, he tries to do a 4-way fusion. And when you think about it, this is pretty perfect, because yeah, it cuts his power into quarters, but like I said before, there's that huge boost, and plus, fusion gives a boost if you're more compatible with the person you're fusing with. What fusion is more compatible than fusing with yourself? It's a long shot, but hey, it's an April Fool's scenario, and it ends up working. Gohan's defeated by Cell pretty quickly, but two new fighters are ready to stand up against him. Gogeta and, Tien? He doesn't really know what to call himself. He guesses Merged Tien's a good name for this. He just looks like Tien wearing fusion clothes, while Gogeta's actually a completely different person. Gogeta goes in first. He has a less volatile fusion right now, because Merged Tien doesn't really know what to expect with his. His might be even more short-lived. Gogeta briefly fights in base, thinking that it would be enough, but Cell is actually really strong here, because think about it, it's a stronger Cell with Boo absorbed into him, and being boosted by Babidi on top of that. Plus, I'd assume he'd get a Zenkai or two from his battle with Boo, especially with him losing in the beginning. So, even though Gogeta did want to just fight in base, he decides to power into Super Saiyan. And quickly the tide of the battle turns. He asks Tien if he wants a chance to fight, and he obliges. It looks like they might actually have this handled. Although Tien goes kind of overboard. Immediately he goes into Evolve Kaioken, and these attacks are far too strong for Cell to handle. Having two fusions is actually overkill. They might have even just been fine with Gogeta alone. But they like this. It's at least an attempt for both of them to try their fusions out. Although Gogeta tells Tien to not get too greedy. He knows he wants to test out his power, but Gogeta wants to as well. Tien can do this whenever he wants. Gogeta can, especially if convincing Vegeta is going to be hard again. Gogeta then powers up into Super Saiyan 2, finishing off the battle and killing Cell for good. And no, Cell doesn't regenerate, even with his regeneration being boosted by Boo. Gogeta completely eradicates him. And this way, they literally kill two birds with one stone. Boo's gone, and so is Cell. They kind of wish they got more time to fight either of them, but the stakes were far too high. And Cell kind of forced them to fight that early. Although, they still didn't pull the Z-Sword, so it might be fun to try that. So Tien takes this opportunity. He probably would have been fine pulling the sword even unfused, but this will make things easier. And, with no effort, pulls it out of the rock, then swinging it around like it's nothing. Nice. This should be fun to train with. Goku thanks Vegeta again for that. That was pretty fun. And with that, we'll leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What's going to happen next? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.